if Adam Driver dyed his hair blonde because of just how ginormous he is. Hi. Let's talk about Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood, her third published Kayla fanfic. I had high hopes that this one would be different, but alas, it is the same if Adam Driver dyed his hair blonde. Bit of context, I'm trying to read all of Ali Hazelwood's books for no other reason than I just want to. I know that a lot of her books follow a classic Ali formula, and they don't really deviate from this until the later books. I read The Love Hypothesis years ago, and I actually really enjoyed it. It was before I was on Book Talk, so I didn't really know of the hype surrounding it, and also I've never seen Star Wars. So all the comparisons don't bother me that much. What does bother me is the constant mention of how big the guy's shoulders are and how every doorway that he goes through seems like it's shrunk in size because of just how ginormous he is. I didn't have to Love on the Brain earlier this year because that one was an exact copy and paste of The Love Hypothesis. Like so similar, but more frustrating because to us, the audience, it is so obvious why the guy acts so surly and that he hates her. And then because of that, it just makes it more frustrating, at least for me, to read about how oblivious the main female character is and all the wrong conclusions that she jumps to because of it. There are just too many misunderstandings for me. Like I can do some misunderstanding, but when it just drags on, I can't. This book though, it does still feel very similar in terms of dynamic to The Love Hypothesis, but there were enough differences in the formula that it kept me captivated and engaged more so than Love on the Brain. I also did read this on holiday, so my brain was already off and maybe that made it easier to get through. The book follows Elsie Hanaway, who is a theoretical physicist, but as she gets paid very, very little as an adjunct professor, she also has to pick up a job as a fake girlfriend to make some more money. This works out perfectly for her because her whole life she has read people and adjusted herself as a person, her personality, her quirks to fit whoever she is talking to. So they'll like whoever she presents herself as. This skill to read people works as a fake girlfriend because she's really able to fool the people that whoever hires her is trying to fool. But then her worlds collide when one of the main people that is part of the search committee for a job that she is going for, much better paid, turns out to be the brother of her favorite client. This was an incredibly addicting book to read. Was it silly? Yes. But was it also incredibly enjoyable? Also yes, if you didn't take it too seriously. I will say though that the people-pleasing aspect of Elsie got very annoying to read as the book went on. So with these kind of books, you know that there's a formula that is followed. And this is different to the Ali Hazelwood formula I was talking about. This is the formula of a lot of books that are more character driven than plot, e.g. a lot of romance books. So you have the essential character flaw that causes a lot of the conflicts in the book. You know it's going to be acknowledged, you know it's going to be worked on in order for the character to develop. This is not a spoiler, it's just the way these books go. I think my problem with it in this case was that for Elsie, her flaw is pretty much acknowledged immediately by her and by the characters that she interacts with. So when everyone is aware of this flaw and everyone is aware that it needs to change and then it just doesn't for a very long time, it becomes so frustrating to read. Like I know that in real life, flaws and changes that need to happen take a very long time. Trust me, I know. But in a book, it needs to happen at a different pace. And when everyone around you is talking to you about these flaws and you yourself are acknowledging that yes, it is a problem and then nothing happens for ages, it's almost like what is the point right now? I have a specific example of what I'm talking about, though this part is a little bit spoilery, so I will mark it as such and feel free to skip ahead to this time. So the example I'm talking about is that Elsie hides the fact that she hates the intricate, complicated, complex movies that her best friend and roommate Cece adores. So Cece's under the impression that they both love these art house style movies. They spend hours watching them, ranking them, talking about them. But in reality, Elsie really dislikes them and would much prefer to rewatch the Twilight Saga. It just seems like such a non-issue, like such a small thing to lie to your best friend about. And especially after the fact that Elsie has admitted that she is very much mainly herself with Cece. In terms of the important things, her real personality shines through. The only thing about her that doesn't is the movies, which is not a personality trait. That's just like a preference. So it just baffles me that it's become such a big deal. Like, there were definitely other major things that Elsie hides from other people. So to pretend for months, almost a year, that you really enjoy these types of movies, it just feels really ridiculous and it just doesn't make sense. They already banter and make fun of each other. So why does this thing have to be a thing? I think it was made worse because it takes a long time for Elsie to admit the truth about these movies. She talks about this with the main male character earlier on, how she's hiding this fact from her best friend, but she doesn't actually do anything about it or reveal the truth. She does think of it, but she doesn't actually do it until a lot later in the book. I know it sounds like I'm fixating on this little issue, but this is how it felt like reading it. It felt like it was so monumental, and in reality it just wasn't. So yeah, I don't know, that part really frustrated me, and I just needed to talk about it. But aside from that, it was a fun little read. I also really enjoyed the excerpts of emails that Elsie gets from her students. Those are pretty amusing to read. I did also enjoy the side characters, particularly the main male characters, Jack's grandma and also Jack's brother, who is Elsie's favorite client. And for my, I guess, informal ranking of Ellie Hazelwood's books so far, at number 1 we have The Love Hypothesis, which I rated 4 stars, and number 2 is Love Theoretically, which I ended up rating 3.5 stars. I feel like the half star is a little bit generous, but I honestly did have a good time overall. I was luckily able to switch my brain off for the majority of it and just go along with the ride. And then number 3 we have Love on the Brain, which I DNF'd at 15%. I hope you enjoyed that review, and please subscribe if you want more book chats.